Just after 7:30. Now, speaking of services that you pay a lot of money for but you don't always get, is the hike in electricity tariffs. It's going to leave many people struggling to keep the lights on. Tough choices having to be made as well as residential power, their prices increasing by 12.7% next month. If I just shocked you, you hadn't heard it, 12.7% is what's going up next month. Let's try and get a sense of the impact on your bottom line. Jean-Philippe Ghyoot from Alumo Energy joining us this morning. We're going to talk all things solar and some solutions in a moment. Jean-Philippe, good to have you with us on the show. Let's just start here, though. When we say 12.7%, I think many people might not know for the average size household, the average use household, what that actually translates to in rands. Good morning.
Good morning, Gareth, and good morning to your viewers.
So numbers-wise, what is this actually going to hit us, this 12.7, if you look at the average size household, do you think?
So let's take an example of like you say, an average house in Pretoria, city of Tshwane, in an affluent area. They were, based on their consumption, paying about 3,800 Rand a month for their electricity bill. And with this increase coming through from, they're on a municipal account from July, they're going to be paying an extra 400 Rand a month. So that is, another just short of 6,000 Rand extra a year.
Wow. And
that same household was spending 2,500 Rand 5 years ago for the same consumption. So it's fairly significant.
It is. And I think the frustration comes through the fact that we have these ongoing blackouts, people getting upset, Jean-Philippe, that they're not even getting electricity sometimes for half a day. Now, you just mentioned those numbers from a few years back. If we do go back a couple of years, how much more, maybe for businesses as well, are we paying for electricity? Let's pick a date, for example, let's go back a couple of years, maybe 5-6 years ago. How much more are we paying these days, do you think?
Look, the best way to look at it is over that time, a 5-year period, what would the annualized increase be over that period? And we're looking at 11% per year if you annualize that increase over time. So that's significant. And we're talking double inflation numbers, even triple. And we're expecting more of the same going forward.
Now, of course, we bring into the factor, into the numbers to make it more complicated. We have inflation, we have interest rates, and whenever we see the cost of living, we see issues around housing and utilities. We just spoke about those as well. All of that is a bit of a pinch point on inflation, isn't it? I imagine in your world, you watch that very carefully.
Yeah, we do. And as we know, inflation has remained stubbornly high. We've seen, the Reserve Bank being quite cautious. We're meant to be moving into a rate cutting cycle, but there's so many factors. And energy, the cost of energy is a huge contributor to keeping that inflation high. And a lot of pundits are saying we must expect high inflation rates for longer. So yeah, it's very significant.
It really is. Now is when we get to the solutions, though. A couple of years ago, when everyone was going on about solar, it was great, but it was very expensive. I don't think COVID helped, and the shutdowns and lockdowns in China. Is solar becoming more affordable for those who can afford it? I don't think the average South African can afford it, but are the prices coming down?
So we have seen, the reality is the demand is there. That's no secret. And we are seeing a lot of new products and entrants into the market. So, with more supply, prices are coming down. So we have seen a gradual reduction in the major components used in, for residential solar and commercial solar solutions. For an example, sort of one of your most popular hybrid inverters that are in the market at the moment, a 5 kilowatt size. 2-3 years ago, that same unit was about 23,000 Rand. You can now get the same unit for 19,000. And we've seen a very similar picture with batteries and solar panels steadily coming down. And we expect that same trend to continue. So I would say, they're going to become more accessible to those that could afford it. But, the big question is, what about South Africa is a very diverse country with different LSMs, and not all of them can afford a solar solution. So, but to answer your question, yes, we do expect the major component prices to come down over time.
It was what's become quite popular. I think it's something that your company does as well. Instead of forking out 100,000 Rand for an 8 kVA system or whatever the price is these days, never mind going completely off-grid, there's a big push towards renting of solar. Is that something that's picking up in your mind? I see banks are even financing solar these days. We've adapted from the market perspective, but are people buying into it, into the rental space?
Definitely. In our business, we see that more than half of our customers are choosing our rental option. And, you remove the risk of using up your precious capital to buy a solution, whether you're a business or a home. So it remains a very popular option. And you're right, banks and many competitors are also offering similar type solutions. So it's a very accessible option if you wanted to get into solar.
It is. And if you want to get into solar, now might be one of those times to do it, because I'm sure in your business, when you see a jump like 12.7% on an electricity tariff price hike, you get a lot of inquiries. Do people really understand how much they can save, though, by putting in solar? Because unless you go for the rental part, there's a massive, massive capital outlay. Do people really get that money back over 5, 10, 15 years? I've heard that discussed between friends, but do people really get that money back in the end?
The answer to that is yes. If the solution is designed correctly, and I use an example in our business, on our proposals, we show the client what you can expect, a realistic expectation of what savings you can achieve over time. And that's definitely achievable. If the solution is well designed and well installed, you will get those savings. And I'll use that example again of that household that we're talking about. One could typically expect that a well-designed solution where the balance of what you're spending and the benefit you're getting from it, you could expect a 65-70% savings on your electricity bill. So if you work that out, this solution, the savings that you're getting from your energy, could easily, in a simple payback, pay it off in sub 7 years. And after that, all those savings from your utility are for you, for your pocket. So yeah, that's what someone can expect, and it's realistic.
It really is, and I think a lot of people might be considering again when we get to these increases every single year. Jean-Philippe Ghyoot, business director of Alumo Energy, joining us, because there's going to be a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. 12.7% is quite a big jump. There's an expectation as well, by the way, just to pile on, that there's going to be another electricity tariff increase next year as well. Is solar the way to go for you? Well, if you're lucky and you're in a position to do it, it might be time.